While modern tanks roll across the Ukrainian plains, a deeper war is being fought beneath the soil. For 3,000 years, this land has been the gateway between East and West. Long before the Kievan Rus, long before the Soviet Union, there were the Scythians, nomadic ghosts, who left behind mountains of gold and a warrior spirit that defines Ukraine today. Why is everyone, from Peter the Great to modern leaders, so obsessed with claiming this ancient heritage? It's a story not just of treasure, but of identity, survival, and a conflict that echoes from antiquity into our headlines. The answer lies buried under the vast, windswept grasslands and the golden graves of a forgotten people. This isn't just about a modern war. It's about a 3,000-year-old fight for the soul of this land. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus called them the lords of the steppe. The Scythians were a nomadic people who dominated the vast plains stretching from the Danube to the Don River for centuries. They left no cities, no stone temples, only earth and gold. Their homes were wagons, and their kingdom was the endless grass sea. They were masters of mounted warfare, raining arrows on their enemies before melting back into the landscape. When the mighty Persian Empire, under Darius the Great, tried to conquer them, the Scythians didn't meet them head-on. Instead, they retreated, burning the grasslands, poisoning wells, and luring the Persian army deep into a barren wasteland. It was a scorched earth strategy, a defense so effective it became legendary. Centuries later, Napoleon and Hitler would face similar tactics on these very plains. The Scythians understood something fundamental. You don't conquer the steppe conquers you. Their power wasn't in walls, but in mobility and their profound connection to the land itself. Their legacy wasn't written in books, but forged in gold. They built massive burial mounds called kurgans, some as large as hills, to honor their chieftains. Inside, they buried their leaders with everything they'd need in the afterlife: horses, servants, and staggering amounts of gold. One of the most breathtaking artifacts ever unearthed is the Scythian pectoral, discovered in a kurgan in 1971. This solid gold chess piece is an absolute masterpiece, but it's more than just stunning jewelry. It's a snapshot of their world. The upper frieze shows scenes of daily life: men milking ewes, mending clothes, surrounded by their livestock. The lower frieze is a world of mythic violence: griffins attacking horses, lions and leopards taking down a stag and a wild boar. This isn't just art, it's a biological and cultural record, a detailed encyclopedia of the animals, people, and beliefs that thrived on this land 2,500 years ago. To the Scythians, the land was a sacred map, and these golden treasures were the legends written upon it. Their kurgans weren't just tombs. They were territorial markers, anchors of identity scattered across the plains, declaring, "We were here." This ancient heritage became the center of a very modern conflict. Fast forward to 2014, as Russia annexed Crimea, a priceless collection of Scythian gold, including artifacts from Crimean museums, was on loan for an exhibition at the Persian Museum in Amsterdam. Suddenly, the museum was in an impossible position. Who did the gold belong to? The museums in Crimea, now under Russian control, demanded its return. Ukraine argued the artifacts were state property and part of its national heritage and must be returned to Kyiv. What followed was a 9-year legal battle fought, not on the battlefield, but in a Dutch courtroom. The case became known as the Battle for the Gold. It was a proxy war over history itself. The court's decision wouldn't just determine the fate of some ancient treasures. It would set a precedent. Does cultural heritage belong to the geographical location where it was found, or to the sovereign state it represents? This wasn't just about gold. It was about the right to tell your own story. Control the past, and you gain leverage over the present. If you can claim the ancient history of a land, you can strengthen your claim to its future. In late 2023, after nearly a decade of legal wrangling, the Dutch Supreme Court made its final ruling. The gold belonged to Ukraine. The collection was carefully packed and transported under high security. Not back to Crimea, but to the National Museum of the History of Ukraine in Kyiv. Its arrival was hailed as a monumental victory. For Ukrainians, it was a confirmation of their national identity and sovereignty, separate and distinct from Russia. The return of the gold felt like the return of a piece of their soul. It reinforced the idea that Ukrainian history didn't begin with the Kyivan Rus, or as a borderland of a larger empire. Its roots run far deeper into the soil of the steppe, back to the nomadic warriors who once ruled it. This story shows how artifacts are never just objects. They are symbols infused with meaning, identity, and political power. The fight for the Scythian Gold was a fight for the narrative of Ukraine itself. So what is T's Scythian spirit that people talk about? Look closely, and you can draw a straight line from the ancient Scythian horse archers to the fierce Zaporozhian Cossacks of the 16th century, and again, to the defenders of Ukraine today. It's a spirit of fierce independence, adaptability, and a deep, almost stubborn attachment to their land. The steppe is a hard land. It's flat, exposed, and has been a highway for invaders for millennia. To survive here, you have to be resilient. You have to be tough. The Scythians mastered this environment, not by building fortresses, but by becoming one with the landscape. The Cossacks later adopted a similar lifestyle, creating their autonomous communities, the Sich, in the remote grasslands, living by their own rules and fiercely resisting outside control. We see this same spirit today in the way Ukraine has defied expectations, using clever asymmetric tactics and an unbreakable will to defend its home. It is a resilience born from a history of having to fight for your very existence against overwhelming odds. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's a pattern woven into the fabric of this land for thousands of years. The warrior gene of the steppe endures. Ukraine is often called a borderland, a name that implies it's just a space between greater powers, but history shows it's actually a heartland, a crucible where cultures have clashed and blended for millennia. It's an eternal gateway. The Scythians are long gone, their language lost to time, but their legacy remains, not just in the glittering gold that has returned home, but in the unyielding spirit of the people who now call the steppe their own. As we look at the landscape of modern Ukraine, we see a nation fighting for its future, but doing so on a foundation that is thousands of years deep. The Kurgans may be weathered by time, but they still stand as silent witnesses to an ancient truth. This land belongs to those who are willing to defend it with everything they have. The story of the Scythians is a reminder that empires rise and fall, but the spirit of a place, its grit, and its essence can endure forever. Is history destined to repeat itself on the steppe? The treasures of the past often hold the key to our future. To uncover more stories of the relics that define our world, subscribe and join us on the journey. Thanks for watching.